The pollen count for this area,
Mm-hmm.
if it'll load, it's normal. It's very low. Let me check your area.
I was like, let me tell you, the pollen count has to be high. My nose is telling me it is.
My ears have been like itchy.
Yeah, no, my ears haven't been itchy, but my ears are a little plugged right now.
Where you live, it's even lower. That's weird.
Oh, weird. I don't know. Maybe it is the animals.
Maybe it is.
I don't know.
Hopefully it feels better soon.
This is an apology to those who are listening if I sound
stuffed.
Like I am stuffed. That would be why. So I'm back this week after a much needed. Yeah. Mental health is. I am of the opinion that, like, if your mental health is not great, your physical health won't be great either. So,
Absolutely.
like, I personally think that your mental health is almost more important than your physical health. Not that your physical health isn't important, because it absolutely is. But
the mental health takes a drain on your physical.
Yeah. So I just needed. There was a lot going on in a lot of facets of my life, and I was starting to feel overwhelmed. And so Eric kindly agreed to play the role of Angel for a week, and it was a very funny episode. when
he had a delightful time. Don't worry, he hasn't shut up. He hasn't shut up about it.
I'm so glad. It was a good time.
He was like, if Angel ever needs anything, I had a delightful time. I'd love to do it again. And I'm like, okay, babe.
Well, I'm glad that he had a good time, and I'm glad that you have a support system in place.
Absolutely.
I mean, we both do, just it hasn't come up yet that I needed to pull on Kay. Yeah, so I'm back this week, and I'm happy to be back. I'm glad that I was given the opportunity to take kind of a mental break to kind of focus on recentering my brain and my emotions. And here's the thing, I wanted to, but I didn't feel like I was going to be genuine, and I wasn't going to be at the best of my game. And
yeah, and that's
above
not
all else, like I want to be able to put out quality content for the 16 collective total people who listen.
And luckily, like you said, we have the option to have guests. And again, worst thing is one of us does it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more important.
Which is not the worst.
No.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's probably not as funny, but it still gets the story out there.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about your highs and lows. It's been 2 weeks since I mean, we talked basically.
We've talked. I would say we've talked.
But it's been 2 weeks since we've talked on air.
My low. Oh, I got my blood work back. And they told me that my B12 is low, which means I had to start taking it in vitamin.
Do you feel more energized now that you've been
No, it's going to take a little bit. It's only been 3 days.
Oh, okay.
So I got the results back right before the weekend started, and they basically were like, hey, just so you know, your B12 is really low. Also, they called me the day before I had a follow-up appointment. So I was just like, why are you calling me now? I'm coming in. And she was like, Are you? I was like, yes, I'll see you tomorrow. And she was like, my bad. Like, I had to answer the call literally during work. And I was like, hello? Because I didn't know who was calling me. And she was like, yeah, I just was calling you to let you know your blood test results. And I was like, okay. Like, and then she just started immediately talking before I was going to say, like, oh, I'm coming in tomorrow.
Confirm who you were?
She basically just said, is this Janelle? And I said, yes. And she didn't confirm my birthday or anything else. And she just was like, hey, by the way, your B12 is really, really low. You might want to start taking 500 milligrams a day, which is not that much, apparently.
Yeah.
Also, they don't sell 500 milligram tablets. They sell 1,000, so I have to take 1,000. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I haven't felt much different yet, but it does explain why I've been feeling so tired and
Yeah.
drained.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of this week I start to feel better. I got a tetanus shot that was another low. They basically were like, "Hey, you need to get your shots done, I think. When's the last time you got shots done?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. My parents became anti-vaxxers. I have no idea."
Oh my god, I did not know that about your
Oh,
parents. I don't
really?
think you ever told me that.
Yeah, by the time I was like 10, they stopped giving me vaccines. So I told the doctor and she looked horrified.
Oh my
And I
god.
was like, I got all the childhood ones. I just did not get any shots until I
Hold
moved
on, I
out.
have to. I've been cackling so loud I have to relay that to Kay. Love, did you know that Janelle's parents were anti-vaxxers?
She's mentioned that before, but I'm not surprised at all.
I literally did not. Maybe you have mentioned it, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, they basically, when I turned like, I don't know, 11 or 12 or something, they were like, yeah, she doesn't need any more. Because I remember going to middle school and they make you get the cervical cancer vaccine or whatever.
Yes.
And my parents literally fought with my middle school. It was like, we're not giving that to her. It has mercury in it. And they like freaked out. So I never got it. So she was basically telling me all these shots I had to get because I
Oh my
haven't gotten
god.
shots. I got some shots after I moved out at 18,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a good span of like 6 or 7 years where I got nothing.
I was like, you are much older than 18 now, so.
Yeah, I've gotten shots since then. Apparently, she was like, oh, so I had like briefly mentioned that I was in the middle of a divorce because she was asking me about my last name or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, it's my married name. Because she was like, oh, what is that? Spanish, Italian? Or like, she was just asking me, and I was like, oh, it's Italian, but it's not my name. It's my married name or something. But she had come back in later. I guess she forgot this conversation. She was like, oh, is this your last name? Is that your married name? And I was like, yes. And
Again?
yeah,
Just had this
and she was
conversation?
like, "Oh, I can't find you in the database." And I was like, "Oh, it probably wouldn't be under my married name." She was like, "Oh, what's your maiden name?" And then I told her my maiden name and she was like, "Yeah, you haven't got any shots in a long time." And
Oh
she was like, "Oh,
god.
you need a tetanus shot." I was like, "Okay."
Tetanus shots are really painful, if I remember right.
So that's where I'm getting to.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun.
No, this is the problem. So she's like, "Oh, we can do it now, or you can go to like a pharmacy, like a CVS or a Minute Clinic or something to get your tetanus shot." And I was like, "Well, I'm already here, so I might as well get it done, or else
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm not gonna do it." Is literally what I told her. I was like,
Yeah.
"I won't do it." So I went back in. It was just Eric and I. There was no one else there. So I
Yeah,
went.
but that's by design right now, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was also the end of the day for them. They left at 1.
Oh, okay.
And
That makes sense.
my appointment was at 1 o'clock, so there was
Ooh, that
absolutely
was
no one
weird.
else there. Huh.
Hang on. Did you get like a notification or something? I heard like a beep.
Nope.
Oh.
But
okay. Well, maybe
yeah,
it didn't translate.
we
Anyway,
were
go ahead.
we were the only ones in there, so it was fine. So I just went back in, and the nurse was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you the shot now." I don't care. Shots don't bother me. Like if
Mhm.
I'm not looking, it doesn't bother me. Lab work bothers me more because of the amount of time it takes to have the needle in your arm and it jiggling around and stuff. But he shows me the needle or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And I said, isn't this the one that makes your arm sore? He was like, yeah. What arm do you want it in then? And I was like, well, I'm right-handed, so let's do it in the left. And I'm so fucking glad I did it in my left arm because,
Yeah.
oh my god, I could not raise my arm until today.
Oh no. Oh
I
god.
couldn't even sleep on that side because it hurt so bad.
no.
So it
Here's the
still
thing.
hurts. It still hurts, Angel.
I believe it. I believe it. I haven't had it. I'm due for another tetanus shot. I get my yearly physical like in January because that's around when my birthday is. And I just try to remember to do my physical around my birthday, which is the worst birthday present to myself ever.
You're like, woo, you have to do lab work. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, so they tried to draw my labs in January and they could not get my vein. For some reason, I've never had trouble. I've never had trouble before. This is the very first time that I've ever experienced that. She stuck me, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times and she could not get my vein. It was awful. And then they sent me with lab work paperwork to go get it done from somewhere else. And I still
Yeah, because
haven't
mine
done my
doesn't
lab.
do it in-house. Mine told me to go to like Quest.
Yeah. Well, they gave me a paperwork and they were like, oh, you can go to like LabCorp or Quest Diagnostics, wherever you want to go. And I was like, well, there's a Quest right around the corner. But here's the thing, I'm the same as you. Like, if I don't do it in
I'm not getting it
the
done.
doctor's office, I'm
Do you
not
want to
going to.
know
So I never
when
got
they
my labs
requested
done.
the lab work, Angel?
Tell me.
August of last year. I've
Oh,
been
that was like a
holding
year
on to
ago.
this lab work for that long, and
Wow.
eventually my doctor was like, "Are you ever going to get that done?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I guess." So I finally
I'm
did
not a
it.
big fan of needles. I say that as a
It's not
person
even
with
that, it's just I
tattoos.
didn't want to
But
go to Quest because every time I've ever been, it's been a
oh,
fucking
Quest is a
nightmare.
nightmare. Yes, yes,
So, but
Quest is
this
a
time
nightmare.
it wasn't because you could only have like one or two people in the lobby and it was by appointment and stuff like that. So I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. If I don't get my lab work done in the doctor's office during my yearly physical, I just don't get it done. Like, I've had this paperwork in my purse since January, the end of January. No, I'm sorry, it was right before my wedding, so it was like early January. It's my birthday
You
is
should
late
probably
January.
get it done.
I'm probably not going to do it. And then next year will roll around and they'll be like, we really need your lab work.
And you're like, fine, I'll
Every
go
time
now.
I go to the doctor's office, they're like, you're fat. And I'm like,
I am not.
I'm always like, can we not?
Why do they think you're fat?
Because I am heavy, but I'm not
I wouldn't
fat.
consider
But
you
they don't.
heavy.
No, well, here's the thing. Just as a disclaimer, I am by no means like a very muscular person, but I do have some muscle. Like, I walk the dogs, I play with the dogs, I studied karate for most of my life. Like, I've got some muscle.
You do,
And
yeah.
there's a little bit of pudge. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not fat. But here's the thing: muscle weighs more than fat. But they only look at
Absolutely.
like my
The weight,
age,
they
my
don't.
height, and my weight,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, you're fat," and I'm like, "I'm not fat. Yeah, a little pudgy, I guess, because I'm not as active as I used to be with my
Even
back
if you are
injuries
fat,
in
as
my
long as
knee."
you're healthy, who fucking cares?
Right. Well, that's the thing. Other than my allergies, I like to think I'm pretty healthy, but I don't know. I don't like going to the doctor because I don't like being told that I am overweight.
Moving on. That was a really
Yeah.
long time. My
What are your
high
highs?
is Eric bought me a new headset for our 6-month anniversary.
Yeah, and it sounds good.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
can hear things.
I wish that my ears were not clogged so that I could truly enjoy the quality of your audio.
You can hear it in HD, baby, when you edit this episode. But
yeah, no,
which was
it
super
sounds
nice.
good.
He actually gave it to me the day I did all of that, the tetanus, and when I got home, he had walked away for a second while I was taking off my shoes, and he just dropped this big gift bag. And when he opened,
Oh, was that the Snapchat you sent me?
and I opened the card, and the card says, "I'd totally swipe right on you," which is hilarious because we met on Tinder. So
That's way too funny.
it's really, really cool.
That's
And
why I
then
was
it
laughing
was a
because I knew
headset.
that you met on Tinder.
I was about to say, but
Yeah.
it was good. But yeah, what was your highs and lows?
Well, so my lows, I guess we'll go with the lows, is mostly just like I've been struggling with mental health. I'm better, but I'm still not like where I would like to be, but I am better, so that's good. But I need to probably reassess my mental health and actually see like a mental health care professional, which I don't do right now. Not because I think it's a bad thing, just
Because
because
it's
like
expensive.
it's expensive. I work a 9 to 5. Mental health care professionals work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's really hard to
It's just hard
find
to
new
do.
doctors.
Right. I think that's just part of it is me like coming to terms with like my mental health is I'm in denial about it. Anyway, mental health is you got to take care of yourself. So that was
Yeah.
my low. Is just like I've been
Realizing,
having a tough
I
time.
need to
Yeah, I
deal with
need to
this.
take care of myself. So that was my low is like my mental health has been not great, but I feel better right now. My high, I have a couple. The first thing is that I had ordered online a pair of Converse shoes in June. Yeah, listen, I had a pair of shoes that I had since we worked at Universal together, and even I think before you started working there. I've had them for a really long time, and they just at work one day fell apart. Like literally,
They
the
just
shoelace broke, the
disintegrated.
sole fell off. Yeah, it was so bad. They were black once. They kind of like faded into this brown color.
That's terrifying.
I had them for years. I keep saying 6 years, but it might have been longer than that.
I can't say anything. I have 4 pairs of Converse, and most of them are from when I was like 18.
Yeah. So I bought myself, spent more than I'm willing to admit on a pair of Converse, and they had not a campaign, but they had like an LGBT set of Converse. So I bought
Oh, really?
I bought a pair of Converse with the bottom of the shoes are like rainbow colored, the
Yeah.
sides have a rainbow, and then the laces are rainbow.
That's fucking
And
awesome.
those came in, and I was really excited about them. They're super comfy. I love them a lot. And I have a resident at my ALF who is also LGBT, and she knows that I am LGBT.
Oh, did you wear them to work?
I did wear them to work. Most people are just like, oh, those are fun. Like, that's very you. And I'm like, you have no idea how me that is. But the one resident.
You're like, tell that to my wife.
Yeah. There's 2 residents who are LGBT, and they know that I am LGBT.
That's very nice.
And I made a point because I didn't see, they don't come downstairs because they're, you know, they quarantine as best they can as well, even though they can't leave the building. And I went up to both of their apartments. They both live on the same floor, and I went up to both of their apartments, and I was like, guys, look at my shoes. Boom, boom. And
Were they excited as hell?
Yeah, they were really excited for me. So that was like my big high, is I got those shoes in the mail, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited about them.
I don't blame you.
There was finally, we are very slowly kind of getting into I'm never going to say back to normal, because there is no going back to before March 2020, but we're slowly getting into a new normal. And so we did admit a new resident into the ALF, and he's very sweet. And
did they test him?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're not letting anybody in the building. I have to be tested every 2 weeks. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, I had the nasal swab 2.5 weeks ago, and then last week on like Wednesday or Thursday.
They did it again?
Not a nasal swab, though. It was an oral swab, so I had to cough really hard and then not swallow, which was gross.
Ew.
Yeah, and then I had to swab, and then myself, I had to swab like my bottom gums, my top gums, my cheeks, the back of my throat. It was a wild experience. And then they sent it off, but I'm assuming that it came back negative again, because
I'm assuming this is all free, so at least you get to see constantly whether or not you're infected.
Yeah. It's required by the state that people who work in healthcare have to be tested every 2 weeks.
Honestly, I would love to be tested, but it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I have health insurance, but I will soon not, so.
Right.
Do you want to do your highlight of a person of color?
I do.
All right, I'm ready.
So,
I'm strapped.
Yeah. So this is again from theundefeated.com, and I'll post another link in the show notes. But I'm going to be just reading this article because this article just says it better than I could. It articulates. It's not very long. So this is Aretha Franklin, born in 1942. This reads, currencies are absolutely appropriate. Aretha Franklin is undisputed when it comes to pouring gospel-influenced bluesy wails of love gone wrong lyrics over country-fried yet pop tracks. She plucked her Pentecostal pipes from the pulpit and applied them to the secular sound, giving us a Sunday morning righteousness on any given Saturday night. 50 years ago, the daughter of popular Detroit Baptist minister C.L. Franklin scored #1 hit with her remake of Otis Redding's Respect, a song with a bit of double entendre that helped soundtrack give the civil rights movement. In 1967, when there was racial unrest in her native Detroit, people ran through the streets daring cops to come near them while they shouted, "Sock it to me," her ad-lib from the song, as they protested. Her signature song, and her most noted, has been used many times over in TV, films, and as a hot karaoke tune, also served as a sororal call for women who were looking for respect and to be taken seriously alongside their male counterparts. All these years later, the single still resonates. But Franklin is bigger than one track. Her career spanned 5 decades, and she was also the first female performer to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987, and she should have been. She's had more than 100 singles that have reached the Billboard charts, and 17 of them have been top 10 singles. She won an impressive 18 Grammys and has sold more than 75 million albums, and she's one of the most influential voices ever, inspiring and paving the way for acts such as Beyonce, Whitney Houston, and Mariah Carey. Franklin is a musician's musician. She can bang it to the piano as well as on a microphone, and she can sing opera music as effortlessly as she can sing gospel. Few can hold a candle to her 4-octave range. Many have tried, some have come close, but no one has managed to sustain and strike quite the way Franklin hands. All hail the Queen
That's
of
awesome.
Soul. Yeah, so she actually passed away in 2018, which
Yeah,
was
I do remember that.
really, really sad to me. I love Aretha Franklin and
Same.
I love listening to her music. So all hail the Queen of Soul for sure. So who do you have to highlight
I'm
today?
also reading from the Undefeated. I have Ida B. Wells. It's too
Okay.
bad. Again, we're just reading from the articles because they are written very, very well. It's too bad there isn't more crossover between journalism and the practice of writing comics. Because if there was, surely Ida B. Wells would be rendered with a superhero's cape by now. Known as a sword among lions, Wells faced down threats of death and torture for bringing international attention, not to mention shame, to the lynch mob terror that afflicted post-Reconstruction Black communities in the United States. Our reluctance to believe the worst about fellow human beings, especially those we deem most familiar, is one of our most persistent shortcomings. Less than 100 years ago, many could not bring themselves to believe the atrocities committed in World War II concentration camps without journalistic evidence. And just a few decades before, Wells was sounding the alarm about the barbaric acts of her countrymen in the pages of the Memphis Free Speech, the newspaper she co-owned. She pushed for action in the face of widespread denialism. Documenting the epidemic of lynching was miserable, disheartening work, but Wells also found time to advocate for the suffrage and civil rights of Black women like herself. She wasn't much concerned with being polite about it either. For her troubles, Black men criticized her for being unladylike, and the New York Times labeled her a slanderous and dirty-minded mulattress, which is a terrible word. Still, Wells rose to represent the best of the American journalistic tradition, and doing so wasn't just an advocate for those most afflicted and least comfortable, but a defender and protector of democracy, justice, and freedom for all. She dared America to confront its hypocrisies head on and live up to the ideals upon which it had been founded. Wells' crusade lives on perhaps most directly in the work of journalists who document the killing of unarmed Black people by the nation's police forces and the comparatively infinitesimal consequences for the officers behind those killings. It's not just journalists, though. Wells's work continues in the form of ordinary citizens who risk their own well-being to document fatal police violence with cell phone video. In much the same way Wells was spurs to raise the alarm about lynching after 3 of her friends were murdered by Memphis, Tennessee, a mob in 1892. She lives on in Black women who not only exercise their right to vote, but take it upon themselves to run for office. Apparently, she ran for the seat in Illinois State Senate, and she lives in the words and deeds of the NAACP, which she co-founded in the practice of intersectional feminism itself, which is pretty fucking cool.
What a badass.
Yeah, honestly.
Honestly, there are some pretty badass women in history, and there are pretty badass, like, people of color in history. So I'm glad we're doing this little mini segment at the beginning of our podcast because, man, there are just some cool badasses out there, you know?
Yeah, for real. I think it's fun.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on to the meat of the
What do you
the
have for
sandwich.
me?
So the story I'm doing is very topical. It's very relevant, especially given like all of the events surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. So real quick, in the beginning of June, there were 2 murders that happened of a Miss Rhea Milton on June 9th in Ohio and Miss Dominique Remy Fells on June 8th in Pennsylvania. And they were Black trans women. And I'm not going to cover their stories, in part because they're so fresh, but also because a couple other podcasts have already covered them. And I don't want to step on toes or sound like I have copied their ideas. But I am going to cover the murder of Amanda Milan, and she was another Black trans woman who died very tragically in 2000. And I think that is important to talk about it given the current state of things. And even though it's not like an unsolved murder and
It's still good to bring awareness.
exactly, it's good to bring awareness to it because I didn't know about it until I was starting to research, and I'm going to do it with as much respect because Amanda Milan still has family and friends who are very much alive and very active in the Black Lives Matter movement as well as the trans rights movement. So I'm just going to give you the facts and one opinion of my own. I'm going to sort my sizes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that. You got it.
I'm gonna cite my listen. I'm so bad at speaking words. I'm going to cite my source. It's not a long story. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of information about it. It happened and it's really tragic and unfortunate, but there's not, like I said, it's not a mystery. It's not anything like that. It's solved. It's done. The people who are involved have served their sentences, though, in my opinion, no sentence would have been long enough, but we'll get there. So, my sources: lgbt.wikia.org, gayhistory.wikidot.com, transgriot.com. Obviously, I got some information from Wikipedia. The Crying Game from salon.com, tramslivesmatter.info, and the archives from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. So, Amanda Milan was born on November 20th, 1974. She was born and grew up in Chicago, Illinois. And other than that, there's not a whole lot known about her early life. She was a good student. She was happy to help a person in need, but was also very feisty and stood up for herself, even in her youth. But she had come out to friends and family as transgender around 18 years old. She worked as an escort to help pay for sex reassignment surgery and had dreams of and was studying to become a fashion designer. She also had a Pomeranian named Ashley.
Oh, okay.
Dogs with people names is so weird to me.
That
I
freaks
can't
me
do
out.
it. But I guess that's the one like
Ashley.
light note. A
Ashley the dog.
Pomeranian named Ashley.
It's like, oh, what's your dog's name? Ashley.
I said
So
dog,
weird.
not daughter. You know what I
said,
mean?
yeah, it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense.
But yes, so she had a Pomeranian named Ashley, and she would walk the Pomeranian around Central Park because she ended up living in New York City.
She's showing off Ashley.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ashley was the best doggo ever. Amanda had two best friends by the name of Kim and Simone. So here's a strange thing. Kim was a Puerto Rican trans woman who went on vacation in Australia in 1999 and was found dead, her body mangled at the bottom of a cliff.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very sad. I didn't look too deep into it, so I don't know like what happened
If it was
there.
foul play or not, essentially.
Yeah, no,
but
I
she
didn't look
also
too
had a
deep.
tragic death, is what you're saying.
Yes. 6 months after Kim died, Simone, who was another Black trans woman, moved to San Francisco with her boyfriend and shortly after found dead after having been thrown out of the fifth story.
What the fuck is
And
going on?
And it's assumed the boyfriend threw her out the window.
What?
Which is really sad. I know. So Amanda, who was very shaken by the death of her two best friends and was
those are some
grieving.
tragic deaths, man.
She was of the belief that these things happen in threes, quote unquote, and she grew paranoid that she would be next to die.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I don't personally believe in things like that, but unfortunately, at least in this one instance,
She was right.
correct. Yeah, which is very unfortunate. In the early morning hours of June 20th, 2000, around 4 a.m., Amanda was trying to catch a cab in New York City after leaving like a get together that she was having with friends. As her friends were watching her go, they noticed a man who was starting to approach her, and the man was 20-year-old Dwayne McCullough from the Bronx. According to waitresses at a nearby restaurant, he, as in McCullough, had been standing on the street corner for at least an hour, though nobody really knows why he was standing there for so long. McCullough and Amanda exchanged words that the friends couldn't hear because of the street traffic, but then they heard him yell, "Get your drag queen ass away from me. I know what you have between your legs."
Wow.
Which is just... Amanda, like I mentioned earlier, was feisty. She stood up for herself. She was not the kind of person who would be like degraded by thugs and bullies. So she puffed up her chest and was like, "Do you have a problem? Put your wife beater on and fight me like a man."
Whoa.
That's not... I don't think that's an exact quote. I think that that's just kind of like what they assume was said based on what they did hear and what they told the police and things like that. Because it was, again, noisy because of traffic. So from here on, the exact exchange is unconfirmed. But according to police reports, McCullough threatened to shoot Milan and then may have backed away before threatening to shoot her again, saying, quote, "I have a gun. I had to punch you in the face and hit you." Amanda was like, "F this." So she started to walk away when another individual by the name of Eugene Celestine, who was a 26-year-old security guard at the Port Authority from Queens, offered McCullough a knife, and he took the knife. McCullough took the knife. Amanda, who had been walking away, was about halfway across the street when McCullough bolted after her with a knife in hand. And her friends were trying to shout at her to warn her, like, get out of the way, watch out, look out, turn around. But unfortunately, she did not respond to their warnings quick enough, and McCullough stabbed her in the throat with a knife and fled the scene with the help of another man by the name of David Anderson. This is a little bit graphic for anybody listening, but the stab severed her jugular vein, larynx, and corroded artery.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really bad stab.
Yes, it was. I didn't look at crime scene photos, but according to the articles that I saw, because I can't bring myself to do it, but according to articles that I saw, it was very, very gruesome. A passerby, just a kind person, he was not named, but it did say like a Puerto Rican man, ran to her, took off his shirt and wrapped it around her neck in an attempt to like kind of stop the bleeding and help save her life.
Oh.
Yeah. Police arrived on scene at 4:20 in the morning and rushed Amanda to St. Vincent's Hospital in Chelsea, where she died because of her wounds at 5:10 in the morning at 25 years old. So the story didn't receive much attention at first, but the headline the next morning on June 21st, so like this was 4:00 in the morning, so all of June 20th passed. And then June 21st, the headline read, "A man was fatally stabbed in Midtown Manhattan yesterday after a dispute with two other men," authorities said.
Man.
Mm-hmm. The victim was found on the sidewalk, dressed in women's clothing, and stabbed once in the neck.
What an ass.
Mm-hmm. So once the news got out that it was not a man, but in fact Amanda, who was a transgender woman, but a woman no less, the news outraged the New York transgender community.
Yeah, that would piss me off too.
Mm-hmm. The outrage only continued to grow once the public found out that the murder was not classified as a bias or hate crime, despite the fact that witnesses to the incident state beyond the shadow of a doubt that McCullough shouted transphobic statements and threats at Amanda. At the funeral, Amanda's friend by the name of Octavia gave the eulogy and ended it by saying, quote, "Death will not be the last word for Amanda Milan." And much like the Stonewall riots, almost exactly 31 years to the day before her death, Amanda's death pole vaulted the New York trans community into action for change and justice, which we are still seeing now.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. In the aftermath, all of three of the accused men, Dwayne McCullough, Eugene Celestine, and David Anderson, and I'm only saying their names because I hope that people damn them to hell.
Yeah.
They were charged with their part in Amanda Milan's murder. This is where my opinion comes in, is that they were charged and sentenced, but their sentences were criminally short and unjustified for the murder or for the crime that they committed. But I'll read those to you now, and I guess you can go ahead and make your own decision.
Lord.
Dwayne McCullough pleaded guilty and was convicted in trial in November of 2002 of murder in the second degree and sentenced to a mere 17 and a half years in jail.
For murder?
Mm-hmm. So think about that for a second. It is 2020, and he was convicted in November of 2002. So homeboy's walking the streets now.
After murdering someone in the fucking neck?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Eugene
Celestine. Yeah, it pisses me off too. Eugene Celestine, he was the one who provided the knife that murdered her. Eugene Celestine was indicted for one count of each of the following: criminally negligent homicide, criminal facilitation, and criminal possession of a weapon. He pled guilty and served 7 years in prison. David Anderson was the gentleman who was charged with aiding and abetting for helping McCullough evade police at the scene and hindering the prosecution by hiding McCullough in his Brooklyn apartment during the investigation.
Are you kidding me?
And he pled guilty to both charges, but served only 1.5 years in prison. The trans community in New York City, I read several of the articles from the sources that I looked at them, and the trans community worked really hard to make sure that Amanda's death was not in vain, and it was her death, unfortunately, that kind of pole vaulted a second Stonewall riots almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, short story, but it's an important story to be told because I, like the people who are close to her, don't want her death to be in vain. And Black Lives Matter and Black trans lives matter. And I think that the Black trans lives are like a piece of the puzzle that people don't consider. So I want to bring light to unfortunate circumstances, but bring light to them and hope that their deaths are not in vain. So that's why I talked to you about Amanda Milan today.
I appreciate it, and I'm sure a lot of other people appreciate you bringing it up, and everyone try and support as much as you possibly can. Stop killing us. Respect that we're people too. Respect all of us. And that goes for LGBT plus as well. It's not just Black people.
Yeah.
Respect all of us, and let's just be better humans in the best ways we possibly can. And we talk about this stuff so that we can bring awareness to it, because I've never heard of this, and that's
Exactly.
sad
And
that this
that's
doesn't
sad.
come up.
Yeah. One of the tidbits that I had read in it was in one or two of the articles that I had read in doing my research for these notes, is that I can't remember if it was during the hearing or during a hearing or during her funeral, somebody had presented like a little black binder with, I think it was like several, I don't remember how many pages, unfortunately, but several pages of just like the names and death days of trans people. And that was back in 2000. So
Jeez.
add 20
I would
years.
say 20 more years of people doing that.
And it's just only more people. And it's just like, that's horrifying to me. That's absolutely disgusting. So, like I said, I can't change, I can't read this story in hopes that it will make the murderer serve a longer sentence because he's already done, or bring her back to life. But hopefully by bringing awareness to it, we can help
other people in the future. Yeah.
Make sure. She wanted to be a fashion designer and she never got to see that dream realized. So hopefully, if there's another Black trans fashion designer person, person who wants to be a fashion designer, like, I hope that at least telling Amanda Milan's story helps that next person be able to realize their dream.
Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. Like, not exciting about this, but it's exciting that we get to talk about it to bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
But
so hopefully you have some news stories that will lighten the mood.
I do. Also, I meant to mention it, but Hunter said, "Hello, everyone." Hunter is one of my best friends. He makes all
He's
the
the one who
memes.
makes the memes.
So he makes all the memes, and he wanted me to shout out his dog. Not even him, just his dog. So I will send you a picture, Angel, so we can post it on Instagram. But it is of Gingy, and Gingy, I believe she's half German Shepherd, half Husky. She's a beautiful girl. Let me actually send the picture to you right now.
Yeah, I want to see.
But he said, "Shout out Gingy for being the most perfect pupper ever." And I said, "Why? What is she doing?" She said, "Existing." So
amazing.
Let me see. Okay, I have a bunch of pictures of her. I'm trying to figure out. I want the best one. Is that weird?
No, not at all.
Here, okay. This is an upside down picture of her. Perfect. I just sent it to you.
Okay, I'm waiting to share my sound so you can hear when it comes through. Oh, what a pretty dog.
Yeah, she's super cute.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't wait to post
But there you go, Hunter. I did it. Yeah. But yeah, I have a couple of things to lighten the mood. I don't have a ton today either. Mostly just because there's not a lot going on right now. I feel like I say that every fucking week, but to be fair, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so.
I mean, like, I feel like we in the United States are still in the middle of the pandemic, and the rest of the world is like,
slowly moving on.
Over it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're having a rough time, especially
Vote
here in
November,
Florida. Yeah, Florida is a shit show, so we'll see. But yeah, I have PlayStation Plus is celebrating 10 years. So there's some stuff on sale. Yeah, PlayStation Plus specifically.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a second.
PlayStation Plus, the membership.
Yeah.
So this month marks that, and there's a bunch of downloadable games right now. So to celebrate, they are offering some games. So NBA 2K20, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which will be available on July 7th. Sony is also releasing a free theme on the PS Store. Unfortunately, I did look at this theme. It is ugly as sin. It is.
Oh, is it?
It's yellow.
Ugh. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can Google it.
I'm sorry if you guys like yellow, but yellow ain't it, Chief. And not this color of yellow. It's not like pastel yellow. It's like neon yellow and blue. I don't
Ew.
like it. Yeah, I really
Hold on,
don't like it.
I'm gonna see if I can look it up. No, it's just giving me like the new PlayStation.
Just imagine like all the
I'll go look
icons
it up
are
after
blue.
this.
Yeah, it's all blue, and then the background and everything else is literally bright neon
I
orange.
finally finished like the main story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey today.
Oh my god. Good for
I
you.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. It
We work
takes
full
me
time.
ages to finish a game. 'Cause I have like probably 8 or 9 games in progress. So I
Oh,
finally finished Assassin's Creed Odyssey today. I mean, I knew it was going to happen because it's been out for long enough that I can't even be mad about spoilers, but I finally finished the main story.
good for
And
you.
so my PS4 is still on right now. Anyway, sorry. Don't mean to interrupt. Go
You're
ahead.
fine. But yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider launched originally as timed exclusive on Xbox One, but came to PS4 a year afterward at the 20th anniversary celebration with more additional content. It's out right now, so take advantage of it. They also have some stuff for PS Plus this month, and yeah, just a lot going on with the celebration. So take advantage of it while it's still here. And then this weekend and this whole week, there's deals because of 4th of July on Amazon, GameStop, and Best Buy, so keep an eye out for that stuff. The Sega Genesis Mini on Amazon is $40 off. Alienware 34-inch curved G-Sync monitor is $170 off on Amazon. The Logitech G502 Hero mouse is $33 off on Amazon. The Razer Basilisk V2 wired gaming mouse is $10 off at Best Buy, and most headsets are 50% off at GameStop. So take
Oh, damn.
advantage of that. Some video games that are on sale. Cyberpunk 2077 pre-order on PS4 and Xbox One right now is $10 off on Amazon.
Yes.
Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga pre-order on PS4 and Xbox One. It is also $10 off on Amazon. Super Mario Odyssey right now is $10 off. Sims 4 $30 off on PS4, Xbox One, and Windows. PC, Switch games like Splatoon, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and Super Mario Maker 2 are $20 off at GameStop. So,
No.
many deals. And something else. Oh, now I remember.
Oh,
I
I see.
remember now.
Tell me.
So this is an article I found. So the website is called pcgamer.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read part of the article because it's easier, and also because I want to read it from the horse's mouth. So
Okay, sounds good.
Splinter Cell and Far Cry creative director Maxim Belland, who returned to Ubisoft earlier this year after a brief stint at Epic Games, has resigned from the company. His departure follows allegations from multiple employees on Twitter of his inappropriate behavior in the workplace.
Good.
Yeah, and luckily he
I'm a
resigned.
fan of the cancel culture that we're living in right now.
Yeah, as soon
And
as
the call-out
someone is
culture,
like shows their true
because
side, they're like fucking goodbye.
yeah, I think that it's a double-edged sword. So cancel culture is nice because like when you have people who have been sexually abusive to their peers and employees and
They're like,
coworkers,
no.
that's great. But like I saw a bunch of people when Jenna Marbles filmed like that
Ugh.
video. She completely apologized and acknowledged the
Yeah,
things that
she
she
was
had
like, I was
done
a
when
shitty
she was
person. I was
yeah,
ignorant and I
and this
learned.
is also 10 years ago, and
And
she
she's
acknowledged
learned.
it. She's up to it. She's learned. She's a better person for it now. So when people are like, cancel Jenna Marbles, like that's
I feel like if
I
you own
get
up
the
to your
passion where you're
mistakes
coming from.
and you're honest and you're like, hey, I fucked up, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning and I'm trying to be a better person, and you show that you're being a better person,
Mm-hmm.
then it shouldn't be an issue. Like,
Yeah.
there are people that I've met in my adult life that growing up they were ridiculously racist, and that's because they were raised that way. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that that was wrong, and when they became adults they're like, oh, that's shitty, I shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
How am I going to
Yeah.
be mad at them for what they did when they were younger and they were ignorant and they didn't know any better?
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
it's just
It's just like
understand.
one of those things like check your privilege, check your bias kind of thing. We live in a world right now that's very tumultuous and people are fighting for change. And if you want to be part of that change, even myself, like I know that there are things personally that I regret doing when I was 18 years old. You know, I'm 28 now.
Mhm.
So that was 10 years ago. I was a shitty person at 18 years old. 10 years have passed. I was also not aware of my sexuality 10 years ago. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just,
I just thought girls were real cute.
yeah. I don't know. Check your
But it's true.
privilege, check your biases. It's okay to, I don't want to say it's okay.
It's not
As
okay to
long,
be ignorant, but
no,
if you understand that you were and you grow from it, then it's a
perfect.
step in the
Great.
right direction.
That means you're learning. So I don't know. I just feel like the hate that Jenna Marbles got after her last
It's fucking
video
aggressive.
was aggressive and unnecessary when we should be pouring that into people like you just mentioned, where they are sexually abusing their peers and coworkers and
Yeah.
employees.
Not the people that are.
Yeah, not the people who are growing and learning from their mistakes that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
on a lighter note, my last story. So, a new Rockstar Games project was kind of leaked, and fans of the game's maker are kind of scrambling to figure out what it is, whether it's GTA 6, Bully 2, LA Noire 2, or something completely different. The Australia based studio is hiring for a AAA open world VR title being made in collaboration with Rockstar. So,
Ooh.
and really, it seems like the studio is kind of bulking up for whatever this game is, noting in a LinkedIn post that it had several positions available. So,
Oh.
unfortunately, the developer and the job postings don't explain what the project is, but some of it might offer some clues, some post notes. The team is kind of coming off of LA Noire, the VR case files, a standalone game. The team also worked on LA Noire to current gen consoles, but really what they're kind of expecting is that they think it's LA Noire 2. However, they're
Mhm.
not really sure, so they're not really going to say, but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. Rockstar Games, they don't really confirm that it's LRNO 2, only because they don't think that they have to make another one because it did fine, and I don't think
Yeah.
that they want to make another one. I think they would
Yeah.
want to create. Honestly, more people are speculating that it's a VR for a pre-existing game. So like VR for
Oh,
GTA 5, VR for Red Dead
that would be a
2.
little that would be a little disappointing only because
People
when
want
I
sequels.
well, not only that, sequels, yes, that's fine, but I also am excited about new IPs.
Yeah, we
I'm
want
always excited
new.
about
We don't
I'm
need
excited.
sequels all the time though.
Yeah, sequels are great and fine. Like obviously I'm a
In
big
moderation.
yeah, I'm a big fan of like, Dragon Age,
I
Mass
would
Effect,
say
Legend of
Dragon Age.
Zelda. Yeah, all of those things great, fine, whatever, but I'm also like I want a new IP. If you're gonna leak something, like I want a new IP. I want a whole new open world. I want a whole new story to sink my
To
teeth into
love,
kind of thing. Yeah.
to dive into, to get addicted to like the rest of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. But
Did you see that Horizon Zero Dawn I mean, it was a PS4 exclusive, right? But now it's pre-selling on Steam and it is the top game on Steam right now. Have you seen that?
I have, only because I use Steam almost every day.
Isn't that wild? I saw an article about it on
Yes and no,
Forbes.
but it doesn't surprise me as much as I thought it would.
I'll just read a little thing. It's a big deal. Exclusive first party development is arguably Sony's greatest strength, linchpin in its hardware strategy. Exclusive games are what allowed the PS3 to recover from a rocky launch to end out the generation well. And exclusive games are what allowed the PS4 to capitalize on Microsoft's missteps to win the current generation hands down. And, like Nintendo, the company has been understandably cautious about letting its most valuable properties outside the walled garden. So that's just like a little thing. I'll post a link to this article in the show notes, but yeah, it is kind of a big deal when like a console exclusive sells out on PC.
Yeah,
You know.
honestly, if that doesn't happen.
So I'll go ahead and post a link to the full article in the show notes, but I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting.
I mean, it does say in the article as I'm like skimming through it, that, like people who like me, I played Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4. That's so 2018 kind of situation. But at the same time, me as a Horizon Zero Dawn fan, am already looking forward to Horizon Forbidden West, and so that's something to look forward to. But the fact that I mean, think about you and me, right? We both have PCs and consoles.
Yeah.
So, how many people in this pre-order do you think already have played it on console? They're just ready to play it again on PC. Like that's wild to me.
That is weird. They're like, I'm ready.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that that's interesting. I think that is a big deal because of something that's number one as old as not that it's a really old game, but it's been out for a couple of years now. It's a top seller on Steam.
It's
Blowing
insane.
my mind.
All
Yeah.
of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that's all I had today. And thanks again for sharing, as
yeah,
always.
yeah.
And I'm
Thanks
glad that
for
you're
sharing.
back. We missed you on behalf of
Yeah, I missed
everybody.
you. Yeah, I'm glad that. Well, I made the joke that Eric is very funny, and if I'm not careful, he's gonna take over for me. But no, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I had the chance to kind of take a step back, and
Breathe.
then yeah,
Like always, you are more than welcome to do so. We will survive a week
yeah.
or two, you know?
Here's the thing, though, completely unrelated.
Hmm.
My Animal Crossing island tonight has a meteor shower,
We can't
so
go one episode, Angel. God damn
I
it.
know. I know. So if you want to come over and wish on some shooting stars, I'll open my
Yeah,
gates for you.
I need to come over. I
Okay.
I will definitely.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably shower after this because I still haven't showered after work.
No, I was gonna say I've got to go to the bathroom and take a shower, but then
But then, then it's shooting star time. You know what I'm saying?
okay. Well, I
Anyway,
will talk to you in exactly 30 seconds when we shut
yes,
off, and
everybody,
then I
you can
text you.
follow us. You can basically find us if you just type in Ghoul Gaming Gals on
Yeah.
anything, but it's ghoulgaminggals.podcast on Instagram, probably Facebook. You can also find us on basically anywhere you listen to your podcasts. If you have inquiries, questions, or just want to talk to us, email us at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com. But thanks again for sticking with us and
Yeah. Hit us
have
with your
a
suggestions and listener stories because we want to do a listener story
please.
episode.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
have anything. It could be paranormal, true crime, anything that's happened to you that you just
Yeah.
want to share. Give us deets and we'll tell it.
Yeah.
But
We'll tell it. We'll tell that story.
but thank you again
Until
for
next time.
listening. Until next time and have a great week everybody.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye.